Let's start that again. I am all about the beautiful Mediterranean Bloom Suite from the 2024-2025 Annual Catalogue. Now, this suite is one that immediately caught my eye. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of an echo here, so I'm just going to turn the volume down. And I absolutely immediately was gravitated towards it. It's the first one that's shown in the catalog, and I don't know whether it's the beautiful blues or the citrus images. I don't know what it is about it, but I absolutely love this suite. So I've had tons of fun playing with it, and I've made a lot of projects with it. I'm going to show you 3 today. I'm going to show you how to make 3. I'm going to give you some tips for coloring the orange image. I had lots of fun shading with my Stampin' Blends, doing that. And then I'm going to show you a bunch more projects that I've made. Okay. Does that sound like a deal? All right. Thanks to everyone who helped me out with the audio issues. I appreciate you giving me that heads up. So let's just see who's here. We've got Janie from Michigan, Connie, Jeanette, Laura. Hi, everybody. Hi, Linda. Hi, Crystal. All right. Hi, Margie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Hi, Becky from Kentucky. Oh, Kathy, you just ordered it today. Yes, free shipping is the best. So thank you for mentioning that. I would have forgotten. Today is free shipping day. So you can actually, here in Canada, get this suite. It's $114 for the entire suite, and that qualifies you for free shipping. So free shipping here in Canada is on $100 or more. So place your order and you can get this suite and have it shipped for free. Great idea. All right, let's switch my view here so we can see what's what. All right, so here is the beautiful layout in the catalog. I am loving the way the suites are shown in this catalog. I love the 2-page layout with the projects on one side and all the products on the other. Another thing that I just realized before the video, before I started my live, is did you notice how on the stamp set image, the images that have coordinating open dies are actually shaded? Did you notice that? That's true of all of the images for all the stamp sets in the suite. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. I hadn't noticed that before. Every time I open this catalog, I notice something new. That's the best thing about it. So let me show you the products up close and in real life. So here we go. We'll start with the bundle because, you know, the bundle is sort of the focal point. So we have the Citrus Bloom stamp set. I won't hold that too close so you can see the whole set at once. We've got orange images and lots of sentiments, this cute little texture image. And again, we have coordinating open dies. So the die set I absolutely am in love with because it's like 2 sets in one. So we have open dies that coordinate with the stamped images, but then we have all of these extra dies. So this cuts a very large label with cute little stitch detail, but it can also be used to cut out this sort of foliage image. You're going to see this on one of the projects we make today. Just a fantastic die. This is the one that sold me on this. This die set immediately. We also have this sort of leafy die, and then lots of little bitty flowers and individual leaves as well. So beautiful set of dies. Absolutely cannot get enough of that one. And then, of course, the paper is also, I don't know what I love more, the dies or the paper in this suite. So we have these beautiful citrus images. So we've got oranges. Now I should mention all of the images on the orange paper coordinate with dies. Okay, so you can cut all of those out with the dies. There are 2 dies and they both cut out those images, which always makes me happy. And then we've got a little bit busier orange image. Now, sadly, I really wish they'd included dies for the lemons too. So the lemons you have to fussy cut. So if you love fussy cutting like me, this is right up your alley. I've already cut a couple of sheets worth of these. Love this image with the blossoms and the foliage. And then we've got some more lemons. And then we've got both lemons and oranges. But then when we flip the paper over, that's when we get these gorgeous mosaic tile patterns. So our color scheme is balmy blue, white, and night of navy. And we have some larger patterns. You could actually cut these and use them as elements on your card if you didn't want to use the entire pattern. We've got a smaller sort of floral pattern. This is sort of a medium-sized mosaic. There's another similar medium-sized mosaic. There's one that's like a check pattern. And then a smaller mosaic. Absolutely love these papers. They're so, so beautiful. So that is the DSP. And then, of course, we have coordinating embellishments called opal rounds. You're going to see these on some projects today. So I won't open this package, but you will see them in action. All right, let's get some stuff out of the way here and get to some stamping. Hi, Barbara from Portland. Welcome. Hi, Dee from Minnesota. Hi, Julie. All right, so here is the first card we're going to make. I kept it really simple because I wanted sort of all the attention to be on this beautiful stamped and colored citrus image. So I'm going to show you how to color this. I've got an image that I started coloring because it does take a little bit of time to color all the leaves and the flowers, but I've left one leaf, the orange, and one flower so I can show you how I did each one. And you're gonna need a lot of blends. So these are all the blends that I use. So let me go through them. So we've got dark and light peach pie. We've got dark and light pumpkin pie. And we've got light Cajun craze. So those are all the colors I used for my orange. So let's start with that. So I'm going to start by coloring the entire orange image with my light peach pie. Okay, and that is essentially to lay down a layer of a fairly light orange that is going to moisten my cardstock and make it much, much easier to blend all these different shades of orange that I'm going to add. So I'm going to just quickly fill this in. I'm not being super, super careful because, again, this is sort of my foundational layer. I do prefer to put down a layer of whatever the lightest shade is that I'm coloring with first, because I find I get better blending with the darker shades. I know a lot of people like to start with the dark and then add the light after. I just find that I can't get it to blend as nicely as I would like it to. So I'm going to come in with my light pumpkin pie. So we did light peach pie. Now we're going to come in with light pumpkin pie. And I'm going to fill in most of the image. So I'm not going to color the entire thing, but most of it. So I'm going to come in around this little blossom here and around the bottom. I am going to leave a portion of the middle of my orange with just the light peach pie. I'm not going to color the entire thing, but most of it. Okay, so just leaving a little patch there. Then I'm going to come in with my dark pumpkin pie, and I'm going to start adding some shadow. So I'm going to kind of color around the stem and in from the edges and around my little blossom here. My peach pie is getting a little frayed, my tip. I'm coloring all those pumpkins in the fall. Not peach pie, pumpkin pie, I should say. This is dark pumpkin pie. Not sure if I said peach pie earlier. Okay, so you can see my three shades. There's my light peach pie, my light pumpkin pie, my dark pumpkin pie. Then I'm going to come in with my light Cajun craze. And this is the one that I'm going to use the least amount of ink. So I'm just going to kind of add little shadows along the edges and in sort of around my little blossom here. And this is going to be the part of the orange that is really in shadow. So obviously the bottom of it, when it's hanging on a branch, is going to be darkest. So we're going to darken that. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my dark peach pie, and I'm going to blend that all out. And I found that by using the dark peach pie rather than the light, I got just better shading and better blending. I found the light was a little bit too light and it actually faded some of my darker shades. But by using the dark, I got better blending. So I'm just going to come across and pull all of those different shades that we've laid down. I pull them all out and I'm going to go right across. Okay, and that little bit that we left, that was the light peach pie, it's still our lightest spot. Do you see that? So there you go. There's your colored orange. Isn't that cool? All right, which tip do I prefer? Heather, it depends. I tend to use my brush tip the most, especially if I have a large surface area to cover. I tend to use the brush the most. And I also like the really fine point on it. Like if I'm doing the stems here and I'm trying to be really careful, I like to use that fine point. However, if I'm wanting to really dig in and blend and really be able to sort of really pull the ink, I will use the bullet tip. So I kind of use both. Does that answer your question? Okay. Let's go to our blossom here. So for the blossoms, I'm starting out with some light lemon lolly, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of the light to the petals. I'm not coloring the whole petal, just a little hint of it. And then I'm going to come in, gotta make sure I got the right color here, with just a little bit of light peach pie. And I'm just sort of dabbing in the center. And then I'm gonna come back with my lemon lolly and just blend that little bit in the center out. And that's it. Really simple for the flowers, for the blossoms. And then for my leaves, I'm using light mossy meadow and dark old olive, which may seem really odd because the mossy meadow is a little bit darker than the old olive. However, what I found was that I got a little hint of a yellow tinge when I added the old olive, which I really, really liked. So I'm starting with my light mossy meadow and I'm filling in the whole leaf with the light. So again, starting with my foundation. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my old olive. I'm going to use my bullet tip because I do want to just add sort of a line. I'm following the veins on the leaf. And I'm going to just come a little bit darker around the orange here. And then we're going to come back with the mossy meadow. And you're going to see when I blend this out that it looks like it's just covering the old olive. However, as the ink dries, I found that I was getting just a little hint of a yellow tone, sort of undertone. And I quite liked the look that gave my leaves. I'll hold this up closer in a minute when I'm done and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so there we go. You can really see the difference between the one that I freshly colored and the one that's dried. So this one was one that I had colored ahead of time. This is the one I just colored. Can you see the difference in shading there? Can you see just that little hint of yellow undertone? I just really like that little bit of yellow. Okay, so there's our colored image. I should mention to color the stem, I used the lighter brown from the deep natural tone Stampin' blends. It's number 200. When you get the blends, they have a number on them. It's SU 200. Okay. All right. So let's put the rest of our card together. So I have here a piece of the beautiful DSP. This is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I know it's a tragedy to cover up those beautiful lemons, but we're going to use the tile image on the back. And I'm going to add just a little bit of Country Woods Designer Series paper, just for a little bit of a rustic vibe. Thinking like a crate, right? A crate, a harvest crate. So this piece is 2 1/4 by 4. So we are going to go ahead and lay that just across a little bit below center. I like things to be a little bit asymmetrical on my projects. That's my own preference. If you like things symmetrical, you can put it right in the middle. But I tend to put them just a little bit. So let's put it there, a little bit below center. There we go. And then I have some Lemon Lolly Baker's Twine. So this was a carryover from the Spring Mini. It comes in a 3-pack. And it's got, I think, Calypso Coral, Balmy Blue, and this Lemon Lolly, which works really nicely with my color palette here. So I'm just going to take, I just folded over the twine. We're going to lay this across the front of our DSP panel and add a couple of glue dots. So we'll go one, yeah, and one across the back here. There we go. And trim off the excess. There we go. That's just my little trick for not wasting twine, right? I don't like to wrap around because if you run the twine across the back, nobody sees it. So I feel like it's a waste. It's just me being frugal. All right, so we're going to go ahead and glue this onto our card base. Our card base is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll go ahead and fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to add a little bit of seal to the back of our DSP panel here. And pop that onto our card base. Just like that. Okay. And then to sort of accentuate our focal image here a little bit, I have one of the beautiful die cuts cut with the extra dies in this set. So this is cut from Old Olive cardstock, and I absolutely love this detail die. I think I'm going to use it a ton, not just for cards with this suite, but for all kinds of things. So I'm just going to add a little bit of seal to the back of my orange image here, and I'm just going to tack that to the back. And then we're going to pop this whole thing up onto the front of our card. So we'll just add a couple of dimensionals here. Oh, Mia, 8 hours on the road. That is a long trip. My goodness. Glad you're home safely. And that you're tuning in today. I don't know that I would do that. I would probably take a nap. Thank you for watching. I think I would probably get home and drop if I had been driving that long. All right, so this itty bitty label is cut using the Unbounded Love dies. So these are ones I featured last week, this little cute label. And we're going to stamp the hello sentiment from the stamp set in Night of Navy ink. So I'm just going to pull this towards me a little bit so I can attempt to get it centered, and still I did it low, but that's okay. Low is fine. Hello, it's low. All right, we're going to tuck this in behind our orange image a little bit. So I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals here. And we're going to just tuck this in. I'm actually going to probably tuck it in a little more than I did on my sample because I stamped my sentiment a bit on the low side. There we go. And then we're going to tie a cute little bow with some more of our baker's twine. So whenever I'm tying bows with baker's twine, I just make my loop and wrap and pull. I don't actually tie a knot. I don't do the bunny ears thing with baker's twine because I feel like I get a really bulky knot, and I don't like that when I have really fine twine like this. So I just skip the knot part. Go directly to bow. All right, now to adhere my twine, instead of using a full glue dot, I'm actually going to take and cut one in half and roll that into a little glue booger. And I'm going to press that right onto the corner of my label here, and then press the knot of my bow onto that. And that way I don't have any excess adhesive sort of that might stick to other things or stick to the envelope. And then the last touch, as soon as I find which bag I put them in somewhere, I have some more of these fabulous opal rounds. Sorry, I'm a little sniffly today. My son passed along his cold, which was so kind of him. Just what you need at this time of year. So these opal rounds, you get, I don't know, I cut the sheet in half to fit in my storage, but there's large and small in sort of the navy, the yellow, and the white. So I'm going to use the navy. We'll go 1 and 2 and 3. And there we go. Cute little card. Lots of fun coloring. All right. Now I'll show you what I did on the inside of my sample. This little texture stamp, it mimics one of the patterns in the DSP. And I just stamped it several times, both full strength and stamped off for a little bit of interest, and then stamped another sentiment. I love that, just checking in sentiment. All right. So that is number 1. Done and done. Let's get all these markers out of the way. We have some space. And we'll go on to number 2. So number 2 has lots and lots of layers. So this is all about the DSP. Okay, so I showed you a stamped one. So the next 2 are all about this gorgeous DSP because I honestly cannot get enough of it. So lots of layers on this one. And I'm going to show you just some tips for how to tear these and make it look nice and tidy. So to start, I have another piece of that fabulous DSP. This is actually, we're going to use both patterns, but I have a separate piece to use this pattern. Does that make sense? It's kind of like rip and flip, but it's not really because we're going to tear on an angle. So this piece is 4 by 6 inches. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start, I don't know, a couple inches up from the bottom edge or one edge, and I'm going to tear at an angle across, just like that. Okay. And then what will happen is we're going to glue this on to get our complete layer. All right. So I'm going to take my orange piece. This is 3 by 4 inches. And I'm going to line this up so that the right edge is at the 5 1/4 mark. Okay. And then this piece is going to layer over top so that I end up with a finished piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. Does that make sense? I hope so. Let me move this up so you can actually see my ruler. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of glue across this top edge of our orange pattern piece. And again, I'm going to line this up at 5 1/4. And then this piece is going to line up with the edge of my grid paper here. And I just want to take a minute and make sure that everything aligns nicely. Okay, so this is really just tacked in place. Now, as you can see, I left a lot less showing. So I'm actually going to tear a little bit more off here, which we can do. So, because I didn't glue this whole thing. I just remember I just glued the top edge of that orange DSP piece. So we're going to come across here and tear like this. Now I am catching a little bit of the glue, but let's see if we can tidy this up a bit. There we go. Don't love that bit, but we're going to cover that with our orange anyway. Okay. I want to see a little bit more of that beautiful citrus pattern. All right, so that is my first layer. Then I have a piece of just basic white cardstock that I have embossed using the Distress Tile embossing folder. And we, again, are going to tear another layer. Now, this one, I don't want to have as much. I want to make sure I still see some of the blue. So I'm going to tear it at a bit of an angle. And you'll notice that it's going to go in opposite directions. Okay, so this one is going to go up here. So we have one kind of going this way. This one's kind of going this way. Now, if you don't like this look, if you don't like the torn edge look, you can certainly cut them or die cut a border and layer your patterns that way if you don't like the torn edge look. I like the texture that the torn edge gives, but I'm funny that way. I like distressing in texture. So, all right, so let's layer this one across the top of our tile mosaic piece. Okay, and that is the foundation for our card. So that is going to get adhered to, again, a Night of Navy card base. It's 4 1/4 by 11, same as the last card, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll just fold that in half along our score line. And again, and look at how nice and neat and tidy that side is. If you like that side better, you can use that side. I like all of the torn edges. That's just sort of my jam. All right, so we're going to go ahead and layer this. Just like that. Okay. And then we have this beautiful die cut image. So do you remember how I said the orange citrus dies coordinate with the orange patterns in the DSP? So this is the one with 3 oranges. There's also one with just 1, but they all cut out beautifully with the dies. So no fussy cutting required for the oranges. Oh, almost did that upside down. That's what's going to go on like this. So we're going to pop it up with a couple of dimensionals. So let's get a couple more of these going here. And there we go. And then that is going to pop on right about there. Okay. And look at that little oopsie that we had. Nobody will know. Now I'm going to add a little bit more glue here because I did not glue this bottom edge very well. So just make sure that's secure. And then we're going to add a sentiment. Now this little sentiment shape is actually one of the new punches. It's called Keeping Tabs, I believe it's called. So the punch shape that you punch out when you use this punch is this. But what I'm going to do is stamp my hello. But after I fold my tab in half. So I'm going to fold this in half. You could certainly trim it if you wanted to. I did try that. I had a hard time getting a nice clean cut. So it's just easier to do it folded. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this down before I try to stamp. That will make sure that when I go to stamp, everything's nice and flat and I get the best possible image. All right, so there we go. Now we can go ahead and stamp our hello. I'm going to stamp it towards the top. Crooked, mind you, but towards the top. And then I'm going to add this little just checking in sentiment. So this one I have stamped and heat embossed in white on Night of Navy cardstock. So I like the pairing of these two sentiments. I thought they were kind of fun. So I'm just going to take and add a little bit of glue to the back of my little Night of Navy piece here. And I just fussy cut this out. Like I wasn't super careful. It's just straight lines. It's not perfect, but I don't really think it needs to be. But I like that little layered look. And it's a neat way to use that tab punch on a card as a label. So let's add a couple of dimensionals to the back of this. And we'll pop this one on. And we're gonna nudge this on because we want to make sure the edge of this is not overhanging, right? So we want to make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. And then we're going to add a couple more of our little opals here, but this time I'm going to use the yellow. So we'll go 1 and 2 and 3. And there we go. How quick and easy is that card? The DSP makes it so fast and easy to make beautiful projects with this suite. So let me show you the inside. So as you well know, let me pull back my DSP. We always have incomplete pieces, right? Incomplete images at the edges. Do you see these? So rather than waste them, I fussy cut, actually I die cut them. I use the die still to cut them out and added them to the inside of my card. Just to add a little bit of color to the inside. All right, so that is that one. Last project I want to show you today is using that fabulous label die. So I absolutely love this look. And I couldn't resist using some of the lemon pattern paper. So let's get into this one. So to start, I used the large label die to cut some of the lemon patterned designer series paper. Okay, so that's the large label. Then I used the large label and the detail die to cut out this sort of peek through label or this detailed label. Now, a couple of tips when you are using this die. Let me just pull it out here. So you want to make sure that you get let me just lay it on it's easier if I show you on here. You want to make sure that you get the outline, the frame, equal, like lined up, centered. Okay. You don't want to have it too close because then you'll have one side with a wider frame and the other side will have almost no frame. So ask me how I know. I'm telling you because I've done it. The first time I did it, I did not take care to make sure that was centered properly. So that's number one. Number two, if you only use this piece and not the frame, you will cut out just this centerpiece. This is not a cutting edge. Okay, this outer edge. You do need to use the frame to cut a frame like I've got there. Okay, if you only use this, you'll get the inside, you get a window cut out, and you'll get the detail of all of the leaves, but you will not get a separate frame. Okay, so those are just a couple of tips. Oh, one other thing, when you are running it through your machine, I use adhesive sheets. I will show you. I've got adhesive sheets on the back of this. If you are having a hard time getting it to cut through both the cardstock and the adhesive sheet, flip your sandwich over, okay? So that you are running it through with the cutting edge up. Put your cardstock and adhesive sheets on top this way and run it through a couple of times. And I think you'll get better results. Sometimes when we're doing it with a cutting edge down, we don't get as great a cut. Depends on the tension of your machine. But sometimes I find if I can't get a decent cut, going one way, I will flip it and I typically get the results I want. Okay. All right. So now we are going to go ahead and layer this. So I'm going to peel my backing very carefully off of my die cut. And now you could probably get away with using some liquid glue to stick this down if you don't have adhesive sheets, but honestly, I do not have the patience to fuss with it. So I like to use adhesive sheets anytime I'm using detailed die cuts. I don't like getting sticky fingers and having to wrangle liquid glue. So now the other thing that I'm going to show you is that it is easier to line this up if you put your die cut down here and then lay your DSP piece on top. Okay, you're going to get, it's just easier and you don't get sticky fingers and everything else. Okay, and then we flip it over. There we have our perfectly aligned layers. Okay, I love this. I want to frame this. It's so pretty. All right, now that is going to get adhered onto a piece of white cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's the full size of a card front. It is also embossed using the Distress Tile embossing folder. I just feel like it works so well with this suite. So this is actually going to get popped up on the front of this panel. So I'm going to add, as soon as I find them, there they are. I'm going to add my dimensionals, but I'm going to use actually some of the frame. Anytime I have a large piece that I want to pop up, I'd like to use the edge pieces because then I won't have to peel a whole bunch of little bitty backings off. I often will save my edge pieces just for occasions like this so that I can use them. We also have our foam adhesive sheets and the adhesive strips, which are other possibilities for doing this. So, you know, you have some choices, but if you're going to be using the frames of your dimensionals anyway, and you should because they're perfectly good, this is a great way to use them and not have to fuss with a whole bunch of backing papers. All right, so we are going to layer this onto our white piece, hopefully relatively centered. Now, this is a very large die. You can see it's going to pretty much cover my background piece, but that's okay. But you can see there's still a little bit of that beautiful texture peeking out. And then that is going to get adhered to a thick basic white card base, 4¼ by 11 inches. So we're all the same dimensions for our card bases today. So we'll go ahead and fold that in half. Now, what I like to do when I am gluing a card front size piece on, I like to use liquid glue because it gives me that little extra bit of wiggle time to make sure I'm getting things perfectly aligned. Now, when we're doing white on white, it's a little bit easier. If I was using a darker color and my front piece wasn't quite the exact size, it's a little bit more noticeable. But because it's white on white, it's not quite as big a deal if it's not perfectly aligned. So there we go. There is our card front. Okay, now we're going to work on the focal image. So here we go. This little lemon I fussy cut from the DSP. Oh, you got the DSP today, Julie. Lucky you. It is so fantastic. I absolutely adore it. We're going to stamp our sentiment on this label. This label is actually from the Something Fancy dies, and look at how well it mimics the shape of our large die. I was quite thrilled to discover that. So we're going to stamp my favorite sentiment. You're the best kind of person. I love that sentiment. Again, we're going to stamp it in Night of Navy. So I'll pull this a little bit closer so I can see what I'm doing here. Just stamp that centered on our label. And we're going to actually adhere the label to, actually, you know what? We're going to put our lemon on first. No, we won't. We're good. We're going to build it just like I always do. I was going to get brave and do it in a different order, but why fix it if it ain't broke, right? All right, so we're going to adhere our sentiment to our lemon, just like that. And then I'm going to flip this over and we're going to do a little bit of a ribbon treatment. So I'm going to add a little bit of seal to the back of my lemon here. And I've got, this is just some leftover from a ribbon share. This is the diagonal striped trim, I think, in white. Oh, you're welcome, Laura. That tip really helped me out. So I hope you find that helpful. All right, so I'm going to start at a diagonal with my trim, and I want to make sure I've got the right side facing out. So I've got my seal applied here. I'm going to come across, and I'm basically making a Z, or you can think of it as an N, whatever, or a Z if you are American, whatever your letter preference is. Okay, and then the trick with this is you want to make sure you cut the ends at the same angle. Okay, and that makes it look like it's kind of a cohesive. Whoopsie, my scissors. Not as sharp as they once were. That would probably be because my husband used them for wrapping paper. Okay, so there we go. We're going to add a couple of dimensionals to the back of this. So yes, I know I'm double popping. So for those of you who are worried about thickness and getting it through the mail, my advice would be to glue this piece on flat, but still pop up your lemon. Okay, nobody likes flat lemons, right? We need dimension. All right, so let's get rid of our backings here. And then we're going to pop this on. And I want to make sure that my label is nice and straight here. Okay, so I'm paying attention to the label rather than the lemon. Okay, and I just realized I went the wrong way. I did it behind my label, but I actually kind of like it behind the lemon. I don't know. I like both. And then we're going to add a couple of little blossoms. These are also die cut from the DSP. Yes, they coordinate. I gotta love it when everything works with the dies. So we'll just grab a couple of these little guys. I'll put one up here. And another one down here. There we go. And then a couple more of our little opals here. So I think I'm going to stick with the yellow just because we're doing lemons. So we'll stick with our lemony yellow. So there's a 1 and a 2 and a 3. And there we go. There is our finished card. Now, again, on the inside of this one, I, once again, fussy cut some more bits from the edges of the DSP and use them to decorate the inside. Okay. So those are our 3 cards. Now, I have so much to show you, so don't go anywhere because, as I said, I love this paper or this whole suite, and I couldn't stop creating with it. So last week I promised you, or I vowed 2 things. One, as soon as I find my catalog, was that I was going to show a sample each week that uses one of the swaps from page 22, or not one of the swaps, one of the sketches from page 22 of the catalog. So today I'm using this sketch right here, this little guy. Okay, so it's got 3 vertical elements and then a focal point. And the card I came up with was this one. So same basic elements. We've got our vertical elements, and then instead of a rectangle, I used a die cut orange branch. Okay, so again, I colored these with my blends using the same shades that I did on the first card that I showed you. But I really love the way that turned out, the way it pops against the blue. So there's that one. Here are a couple more ideas. So this one, I use just the large label die cut. Cut from the DSP, and then again some more of the beautiful DSP, the citrus blossoms. This is one that I did during my live launch party, you'll recall if you were joining me. And then love this one as well. That lemon blossom paper is just so pretty, and I think it works really well with that DSP. So again, just a really pretty card. And then I also, the second thing that I vowed last week was that I was going to do a scrapbook layout each week. So this week I decided to do a double because I still, believe it or not, am scrapbooking. I can't show you the whole thing because my camera is too zoomed in, but it's a double layout. This is from our trip to the Greek Isles way back in 2019. It was my very first Stampin' Up! Incentive trip. So we did Santorini, was one of our stops. So there are some photos of my family, and then here is the second half of the layout. We'll post the full layout as a post later this week, so you can see the whole thing together. But again, love the citrus images against the navy. Just love how bold and beautiful. There you can see the way the layout comes together in the middle. Okay. All right, so there you go. Lots of ideas using the beautiful Mediterranean Bloom Suite from the Stampin' Up! 2024-2025 Annual Catalog. Do you like those? All right, let me come back to here. Hi, guys. So I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning. I will edit those out so that when people are trying to watch the replay, I'm not getting a million comments. There's no sound, because it's not like that hasn't happened to me before, right? So I will edit it so that is gone. And I appreciate you for letting me know, because it would really suck to do an entire video without sound. It's happened. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you like these projects. Don't forget about free shipping. It is on until midnight Mountain Time tonight, and take advantage. You can grab this whole suite and get free shipping. All right. Thanks everyone for joining me. I appreciate you checking in each week. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.